about him in the top right-hand side of the map. It is the French Terran player, MarineLorD.
Well, if that just wasn't music to my ears, cats. In the bottom left, as the blue Zerg, he is Denver. I mean, French accents from another accent. I mean, it's already bad enough when us Americans try it. But I liked yours. It actually, I thought, sounded a lot closer.
Spanish-speaking skills translate into a few different languages. I find we can do a lot of the sounds because for some reason we do the R's and like some weird sounds already.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
I'm decent with sounds.
It's I guess the misconception is that like English is also like one of the languages of like romantic languages, but it's definitely not. Like I forget what we're closer to, but it's something absurd, right? Like that's why we don't seem to have very good French or Spanish accents. And I can never roll my R's, so I'm just screwed.
No, really? What you gotta do for people watching as well is you kind of wanna make your tongue into sort of like a cup, and then the tip of it should touch the top of your inner mouth, and then you go. That was a good try. I love it.
It's like trying to teach someone how to like whistle with like their fingers like in their mouth, right?
I never learned that one. Yeah, I've tried. It doesn't work for me, that one.
Yeah, exactly. But that's okay. Luckily, I don't have to use my foreign language skills that often. I mean, I would try in France because they always say like, you know, especially for Paris, you know, like if you try, they'll be a bit nicer to you than if you just try and, you know, say like, oh, I'm American, you speak English to me. So I'll try. And then they just speak English to me anyways. They're like, please never speak French again. And I'm like, that's fair. All right, then.
Cool. Yeah, that can happen for sure. Do you think that's rude or do you think that's fair when that happens to you?
Oh, I think that's fair. I mean, I think it's still nice of me to try, even if they eventually, like, even if they, because I've had a couple of times where, like, people have, like, smiled at me, like, almost like, oh, little English speaker trying so hard, you know? It happened with, funnily enough, it happened with Hero, the smiling assassin. Oh, shoot. Oh,
I wasn't even sure that was a high ground for a second.
Right? I was like, are you mistaken here? Yeah, I tried to say hello in Korean to a Hero at, like, IEM Toronto years and years ago, and he kind of just smiled at me, signed my thing, and walked off, and I was like, oh, that wasn't a good experience.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, whenever in Peru growing up, whenever I saw like American tourists and they would try with the Spanish, and I thought, you know, I speak English, so maybe I should just try and engage there. So I never thought it was rude, but I always kind of wondered in the back of my mind, like, should I just make an effort to, you know, to talk to them in Spanish instead? I'm not sure.
I guess it depends on how confident they are. And that's part of my problem with Korean is that I'm very confident when I'm ordering food and then they ask me one thing that I don't know what they're saying and I just look at them blankly and it's like, sorry, I deceived you into thinking I was actually okay at speaking Korean. Definitely not the case.
Yeah. And MarineLorD now on this map, we have Denver going for the very fast overlord speed. One of his overlords is disabled in order, it's too low, right? It can't scout, so he's going to have to rely on this one. It is going very carefully towards the bottom of the map, and Denver very diligently also replacing the overlord at the natural by another one. So he's going to get that scout no matter what.
Oh, this is so interesting, cats. I actually just thought it was a predictable TVZ because, hey, it's Eternal Empire, it's the first game, but MarineLorD is definitely not doing the normal here. He actually never swapped off his reactor, so he has a ton of Marines. Despite going for a 1-1-1, the number of Marines almost makes it look like a 2-1-1, but then Denver just followed the setup that says 1-1-1, right? So, I mean, this is a stimless Marine drop into Battlecruiser. I mean, Denver might be prepared for the drop, and it's actually not that deadly as long as you know it's on the way, but even if you're prepared for everything, this is just a weird way to start off a TVZ.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I really like it because it's so easy, even though Denver did scout it, to look at that number of units and be like, I really need defenses right now, right? And that's exactly what we're seeing from Denver here, even with a spine crawler making a lot of those links, and that's what makes the follow-up so strong. I don't think, like you said, these two medevacs are really gonna accomplish much. He's gonna try to drop him somewhere annoying, trade until he can't trade efficiently, and then just go back and wait for the BC, I imagine.
I feel like this is a really good fake out build because say like an Overlord, a slow Overlord sees the natural, it sees Marine. So it says, okay, it's a 2-1-1. You would never predict the 2-1-1 to go into a battle cruiser. So I almost feel like it's not even about the first 2 drops and what they can do unscouted. Although, hey, if they're not scouted, that they probably can actually bop a hatchery. But rather, the follow-up also wasn't supposed to be scouted. But Denver did something that not many Zergs are doing, which is actually go for Overlord speed in this matchup. It really fell off after it was increased in price again. So this could have been a surprise. It's not. And if MarineLorD's going into a battle cruiser, I feel like the guess is mech.
Yeah, that was a great bait for MarineLorD, right? Like just letting the links slip in when he has enough, and a little bit of a mistake from Denver. They're just running the links into a meat grinder, thinking, oh, the door's open. It's so easy for a Zerg to think the door's open, I should go in. And I would love to see more baits from Terrence. This Overlord's gonna scout things once again. The battle cruiser about to pop or already out now it has definitely been spotted.
Yeah. I mean, there's maybe a chance that Denver could think like, oh, you're going to cancel that fusion core because you've just been so scouted. But I mean, despite MarineLorD's build really being thoroughly scouted, I guess it still has that potential, right? It still can fly around the bases and try and find weaknesses. It hasn't really found so many yet, but now the Hellions coming in. They're going to go after those drones. All right, there's enough lanes to respond.
Yeah, a little bit slow in the reaction with those Hellions. I feel like they could have definitely gotten at least one volley on those drones, and they were definitely the units to be looking at and to be controlling. So maybe MarineLorD not paying attention to the key units in this scenario is going to cost them, not getting those drones. 6 still go down, though not bad.
Man, I almost wish, like, obviously I'm not trying to cheer against Denver, but I almost wish that this had gone unscouted just because I think it's such a cool trick, man. Like, you just don't see this happen and then go in a mech. But again, Denver has scouted thoroughly and completely, even building an Overseer over the factory. So he's going to potentially see what type of mech is following this up. And it is going to be the Cyclones first and foremost. The double drop that never had sim is finally getting cleaned up. But this applied so much pressure that MarineLorD got a third CC up and saturated. And, his battle cruisers aren't going to be dying anytime soon because Aspire really wasn't a fast plan for Denver. It's only halfway done.
Yes, indeed. Good focus firing here on a few of those banelings from the battle cruiser. MarineLorD is the type of player to do that, Jess. I completely agree with you. He is just the type of player that will craft his own strategies, his own builds, and they will make sense, right? And they will be strong and they will be surprising. So he's kind of the perfect player for this type of tournament to some degree. Only, he's not maybe at his peak form, but he's one of the ones that I think has the strongest chance of coming back strong as a player.
Well, this is going to be difficult to do. I mean, getting the advantage again against a mech player, like you're supposed to try and delay the third, you're definitely supposed to try and delay the fourth. I feel like MarineLorD is in a very confident position, a very good position, and the options of the Zerg player to really come back against mech in particular, I mean, you can't really hope for amazing bailing hits because they kind of work against Hellbot Cyclone, but yeah. The old option of going right into Broodlords and actually having a surprise is like not even a thing anymore, man. Like, it works out way too good against them. You really have to have a whole setup for that. And Denver, he's going to try initially with some surprising mutas, but I don't think he can save his fourth base, so another thing not in his favor. Oh, maybe with some lings.
Yeah, with the Banelings here.
Oh. Okay, all right.
Looks like they'll be able to. MarineLorD trading somewhat efficiently in this choke, and actually Denver surprisingly disengaging there. I thought he could have traded efficiently with those last 4 Banelings. The Mutas do not want to engage onto those BCs. And now, Yamatos, I mean, that's 400 resources down the drain. These BCs are doing great work.
Sport Brawlers trying their best to help out, but really you want some Corruptors, you want some Queens, you want to not lose 7 drones. Denver just has not only is he taking damage, he has no way of going across the map to return any of the damage. And now that the mutas have been scouted, of course, MarineLorD's going to have some missile turrets, and it's not like building Cyclones is wrong against mutas. In fact, it's quite correct. The muta numbers are still low. Denver going to try and go into Swarm Host, but that's a pretty late transition. He doesn't really have, I guess, as much gas as he would have wanted either to start that up.
Yeah, and it's not like he has anything to hold the Cyclone, Hellion, or Battle Cruisers in place, right, for the Swarm Host to do a lot. I think he's just in a difficult position. I think he got tricked by that start, right? The mech switch was so cool from MarineLorD. We've been talking about how awesome his strategy has been through and through. And I mean, keeping those medevacs out and being a presence for that long, I think made it so that Denver really committed onto this Mutaling Bane style, which is not invalid against mech, but most players do prefer the Roach. So having to go back for that, it seems like has set him behind quite a bit.
Despite the good scouting, I think he still had a plan that he wanted to execute, and then having to change it so drastically and so frequently because he also was getting harassed has really messed up his opportunity here, pacing-wise. Now, as far as the game goes, if we're going to go to 15 minutes, there's actually definitely opportunities for Denver to win. But pacing-wise, we usually talk about the Zerg player wanting to overwhelm the mech player while there's still a lower supply. Here, it's almost even supply, and Denver is not really prepared to take this fight. He's going to try to do so, but 3 battle cruisers up against not a whole lot of anti-air. And on top of that, the ground army can kite all day long.
All day, every day. There is 6 Corruptors in production, but they're not here for this fight right now, and this hatch is under threat. That's what MarineLorD came for, and that is what I think he's going to end up getting, though. He is getting pushed back. Wanna maybe... Ooh, you have to finish that somehow, right? Well, maybe not.
Ooh, the Corrosive Biles plus the Corruptors actually taking out a battle cruiser, as MarineLorD wasn't anticipating having to teleport that away. Denver also has... He's got Locust trying to go after a planetary. I'm not sure that's enough Locust, but he does save the hatchery. My gosh.
Yeah, love that he targeted the gas, recognizing like you did that it wouldn't be enough Locust for the planetary, even unattended. But yeah, that hatchery hurts my heart.
Wow. I mean, that's a good hold. It's a good start for Denver, who also has a 5th base behind that 4th. So he really is making up for lost time. Although MarineLorD also is being very confident in taking his 5th base, not just on location, but like aggressively on location. The path of the attack as well. It's usually dangerous. It works out well here. Now it's going to be a planetary too. So MarineLorD could continue hitting from that right side.
Yeah, and Jess, I was really going to ask, like, what are the Swarm hosts going to do here? I didn't like him, but at least Denver is really keeping active with them on the map wherever he's not fighting, because they're not really going to be good at fighting an army that will just run away from them. So instead, he's using them as kind of like his counter-attacking siege, and that's quite cute. I mean, I'm not sure that I would have made the Swarm hosts regardless, but I love that he's doing the best that he can with them.
Yeah, I think you're correct in what he is doing, what his attempt to... Oh, he's actually going to get this, because the Corruptors are here too. What he's trying to do with them. One of the reasons we don't see it, though, specifically as like a harassment force, is because they take up so much supply, right? Yeah. So eventually push comes to shove. MarineLorD gets more of an aggressive stance and more of a concave, and his army is just going to beat whatever Denver has. But so far, so good. Denver, with just a handful of Banelings, is constantly making MarineLorD, you know, micro away. So he's buying more time for more creep spread. Denver is holding on, but MarineLorD, despite losing that base, still has a lot of momentum.
Yeah, and yeah, I generally agree with you, Jess, but I think this mech army is not as durable, I guess, as the normal mech or the old school mech, what you would call it, where this mech army can actually trade not so well in straight up fights. So it's more harassment based, and I think that's why Denver can kind of maybe get away with a Swarm host. I'm not sure. I'm just considering it now as after you brought it up, because I agree with you. They are so supply inefficient.
I think you're still correct in like what might actually be allowing them to finally be those harassment forces that they just usually aren't, right? They're supposed to start a momentum. They're supposed to get one Locust wave, then another, and then eventually be used to stop an eventual attack. But it's a very different game because it's not tank mech, it's cyclone mech, it's mobility versus, well, what does Denver have? Is he staying at home, or is he also trying to get mobility? He's kind of trying to get his own mobility with the Swarm host. Banelings and Roaches can only take on these units so much, especially once the Banelings are down. But he really has added on to the Swarm host counts. Now the Locusts are in a scary number, certainly enough to take down a planetary despite the repair. Oh, jeez. So close.
Very close. So much tank, cyclone, and BC support will keep that planetary alive. I would have loved just to see Infestors at it. I mean, the gas has been there for Denver. They are kind of a hard counter to the army that MarineLorD has if you're able to land those fungals, right? Flank with an Infestor, land the fungal, it all disappears.
I really like that point because we have such a gas bank. I think that might have been worthwhile. Unfortunately, as it is, he loses 2 hatcheries. It might have taken him a while, but MarineLorD finally starts digging into the hatchery, kind of his opponent. He's also finding a lot of Roaches and Ravagers now that the Lings and Banelings have gone down. Corruptors do find another base, so it's actually almost like a 2 for 2. Just that MarineLorD still has more bank, and the Locusts, I mean, sometimes they're not very useful, right? Like for now, I don't think 2 Cyclones is really what they want, and everything else can just evacuate.
Yeah,
ooh,
and Denver, That is huge. That is actually a good equalizer. And also, I was going to say too little too late, perhaps making the Infestors. But after this catch, hey, maybe Denver can come back into this game. And I love the Infestors, needless to say. Now they're being added. So now Denver has a potential to at least punish one of these move outs, especially with the first fungal, right? Like the reveal.
Yeah, the revealing one is going to be sometimes the game decider. But then from then on out, you get to be a little bit tricky with them. I do believe Denver is going to be able to do that, but a bit of a miscalculation there, accounting for the battle crew still being alive with his Corruptors over on the other side of the map. Locust, once again, not going to get too much on the left side, and after this Locust wave, I think it is correct for them to go ahead and evacuate. MarineLorD's also been working on his upgrades this entire time, I think is worth noting. He's almost at 3-3. He also got building armor, so they're going to stand up to Locust a little bit better as planetaries.
Definitely an excellent movement from MarineLorD and positioning from MarineLorD, knowing where his weak point is and understanding his opponent's game plan. Repositioning a lot of this army to answer the swarm hosts was brilliant, especially whilst defending the front. So really well done. And as a result, Denver isn't able to take much from those swarm hosts and will take a lot of drone losses instead.
Oh no, yeah, the battle cruisers. Yeah, it feels like maybe they were trying to defend the top left. They were bullied back and then they weren't doing a whole lot. Well, now they're coming back with a vengeance, handling the counterattack, killing 12 drones, although, okay, I thought one of them died. And a planetary, another base goes down. I mean, these are blow for blow. It's just that MarineLorD looks better with the direct engagements unless those fungals can hit. Denver
he's
actually...
so many CCs as well. I think you're completely right. I mean, it's just a matter of, can Denver wipe him out and equalize again, I think.
Yeah, like reevaluating it. It's more like just Denver is trying to kill a cockroach right now. Who just keeps like doubling down on his command center, where Denver can't even afford to get one hatchery, and that's going to be the biggest problem. Plus, he only has 40 workers. Yeah, I mean, it might look okay supply wise, or something like he can actually win supply wise, but unless he can literally get on top of production, he's going to have to do more than just take out a couple of armies.
Yeah, I mean, those fungals do okay. They grab a few of these units even on the retreat, but no more fungals available. I think this army from Denver is just it, right? Like, he's going to get kited to death here.
I think so. Denver is also dealing with some battlecruiser harassment. The Corruptors will absolutely take care of it. So that's one less thing to worry about. But if he was building 2 or 3 bases, I'd be like, yeah, the comeback is real. He's not rebuilding bases. He's not rebuilding drones. And he cannot replace his army, which does get slaughtered. Top left, GG. MarineLorD with the 1-0. Very interesting start.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to just... Sometimes when a player kind of gives up, we can kind of see it like this is my last attack, right? Because they're really looking for... They're no longer looking for those openings. They're just like, okay, well, if this fungal hits everything, then, you know, I stand a chance. And it's an unlikely fungal. So you can tell because they're not retreating a lot of the time that's probably when they're leaning in and they're just kind of sick of it. And I mean, MarineLorD, I think, had control throughout of that game. So props to him.
Mm-hmm. I saw, some people were saying that this was a build that had been used in the past, but it must have been a very long time ago. Especially if it really is a fantasy build. It's a cool idea though. Like the entire plan is that you feed into their preconceptions of not just what a bio opener would look like, but also what might be more popular than not, mech or bio. Mm-hmm. It just is funny because it felt like Denver chose the absolutely perfect game to go for Overlord speed, yet it still messed him up. He was still like, what, why, how, stop it, and it never felt very smooth for him.
Yeah, I'm not sure that he spotted the BC right away, but yeah, that was a really cool build from MarineLorD, and it was pretty unique. Yeah, Fantasy did bio into mech, but it was more like bio into mech, I thought, than fake bio into mech. It was more like bio with stim and stuff, if I remember correctly. I'm not sure. I mean, it's not like this build has never been done before, but maybe not very often at all for sure. It's an idea that's out there, right? It's definitely something that can be done. I personally have not seen it much, if ever, in pro games, and I don't think Denver has either.
It's definitely rare. It's definitely rare. I can actually see a lot of drawbacks to doing it, especially if it is scouted. But honestly, even if it isn't scouted, like imagine you try and do a 2-1-1, quote unquote, and then like you get all the Marines cleaned up because they can't move very fast, and then the Zerg just controls the game from then on out. The whole idea that they might be surprised by Cyclones, I don't think wouldn't be enough to take advantage of losing the opening. But That's not what happened. MarineLorD's build worked out as well as he was hoping for in terms of actually throwing Denver off, and now he's looking to throw Denver off even more. In the top right of Ice and Chrome, sitting an SCV out, it is the Red Terran MarineLorD.
I hate that he's playing as a blue Zerg because I can't call them Denver Colorado. Instead, it is Denver Azul in the bottom left-hand side.
Ooh, we got a lot of racks coming down. It's more than just 2 SCVs going out on the map. The third one is also on the way. It's pretty far away. And oh, wow, it is so far away. I would have never thought Denver would have looked this far. He's going to see it. You don't really want to pull the drones this far, though, do you? Like, does MarineLorD just commit to a 2 racks instead of a 3 racks now?
Probably. And yeah, Denver is pulling drones. I do like the pulling of the drones. I'm not sure if I would have pulled as many as he's pulling here. Because the first barracks is most likely to go up no matter what. I love that supply depot, right? That's brilliant to stop the drones from getting a full surround on the SCVs while they're mining the back. That's just the kind of move that MarineLorD can come up with on the fly, or even perhaps plan for in advance with a strategy like this, and makes him such a great player. The drones are doing good, but like I said, that barracks finished. Ooh, burying a SCV.
Ooh, it's going to be close. It's going to be close. It's not going to finish.
Wow.
Oh, jeez. Not the RNG. Ooh, all right then. So that ended up being a pretty perfect amount of drones to pull then, right? Like, it took care of the SCV to the second barracks didn't pop up, but it wasn't like he pulled 7 or 8 drones.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's
at the same time, Jess, I feel like that SCV was very daring. I feel like it could have just run away for a few seconds and then come back and finish it, right? Like when the Marine was closer to being finished.
Yeah, you're probably right.
A little bit of a slip, perhaps, but great scouting from Denver, who was also scouting last map around. So this is not something random that he's doing. He's diligently looking for this opening from MarineLorD.
Very, very diligently. Like that's about as far away as you really ever want to make it 2 racks. Or 3 racks, or whatever it's going to be for MarineLorD. But he is adapting, and that is part of the power of these openers, especially if you're not caught in that awkward, 75% of the way through. Like, nah, he wasn't really that far along. So it messes up MarineLorD's build for sure, but he could maybe recover. He is not expecting these things. This is going to be awkward.
Oh, that is so awkward indeed. The slowing ram by.
No. A bit risky there to put the factory in preparation of a reactor instead of blocking off, because he absolutely could have walled off. This is a pretty good
amazing micro, though. Yeah, great micro from MarineLorD dancing around the SCVs. Wow. Losing only the 2 Marines, that's pretty good.
Whoa, man. That was actually pretty sick. I knew 2 Marines had a chance there. They're slow. The SCV pool is going to be good, but I thought maybe like 2 more SCVs were going to go down as well. And that was, okay, all right. Now, Denver didn't commit a whole lot to doing that. So as cool as it looked, we still have to look at the numbers here, which is that 10 worker deficit with no follow-up pressure from MarineLorD. Denver is actually just going to try and end the game. Bailing us, Ling's on the way.
Interesting. With the late Hellions, this is good, but I wonder if he's anticipating Hellions at all. If there's as many as like 4 Hellions popping out by the time that this hits, I really hate Baneling busts. I think they're a trap. I think they just are so difficult to make work.
I kind of agree with you because, 2 Hellions are actually like in the hands of a perfect, controller, like Innovation or something like that. That's already pretty good against it. 4 Hellions, which you usually have, is really good. So usually it's all about being mentally prepared, having your, finger on the trigger type thing for the Hellion control. And then they do look kind of lame. But in this specific scenario, where the Hellions are late, where you're hoping the Zerg player does the typical thing, where Denver might do a typical thing. He's more of a macro player. This might be the surprise that Denver is looking for.
Oh, and Destiny would have something to say about that Overlord. But, okay, here's the Hellions.
Oh, no. Oh, this is bad already.
Yeah, trapped behind the wall. He's gonna lower the wall at the expense of letting the Lynx out. And now the Banelings will not even have to sacrifice onto that wall, but rather go onto the SCVs. And MarineLorD will have to tap out. Great job capitalizing from Denver. You see the opening for sure. Like, the Hellions are late, like you were saying. I was still concerned. because I have lost too many times trying to capitalize on late Hellions.
Yeah, I think absolutely. If he knows it's on the way, then his Hellions are up on the high grounds. He can't really stop the buildings from being destroyed. I don't think so anyways, but he might be able to buy time for 4 Hellions. And if he splits his STVs, we're actually talking about a playable game. I don't know if it's a great game, but a playable game. But I do like when things just end like that. I think Zerg players are hesitant to try and just immediately end the game after a 2-Rax failure or not, because of how many times, you saying it, that they tried to and doesn't work out. But I also feel like you guys got to be frustrated when you're like, okay, I handled that perfectly. Oh, you have 3 CC and you're double medevac dropping me? Super cool. Terran's great.
Yeah, and MarineLorD is the type of player that can really play off of that type of situation, because we've talked about it a lot. He's a very adaptive player. He comes up with his own strategies. And in order to do that, you really have to have a broad understanding of what makes sense when. So weird games, I would favor MarineLorD over Denver. And I'm really happy that Denver kind of capitalized here and shows that he can really step up to the plate in this type of situation too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also something that, as I was saying, maybe MarineLorD was just like, nah, Denver wouldn't do that. Denver's been trying to mix things up, not just a macro beast in PvZs, EVP for him, but also just in general, able to do whatever is necessary to win the game. So it ties up the series. Death Aura is going to be our next map, though, and I could absolutely see MarineLorD doing an 8-Rax here. It might be a little on the nose, but it's pretty powerful.
It surely is. And I really love, Jess, I'm not sure if you agree with this, but the Europeans and the Koreans have kind of started backwards, and now they're kind of converging, where the Europeans are being more aggressive, the Koreans are being more macro-oriented, and everyone's kind of just a mix.
I kind of see what you're talking about. I feel like we are a far cry, step away from 2 years ago, where like all the Europeans were always known as like boring macro players.
Yeah.
Very
and if we take ourselves back to 10 years ago, then the Europeans never attacked, and the Koreans attacked within like the first minute every time. So it's definitely been converging somewhere. Here is the man on the top left-hand side, the red player for the Terran Ways. It is Marine.
In the bottom right is the blue Zerg. He is Denver. If Colorado had an accent, I would attempt it. But I'm pretty sure Colorado is just maybe it's like a southern accent.
No, Colorado is, well, a lot of the U.S. used to be Mexico at some point. A lot of the names are actually in Spanish. I think I'm not sure if Colorado is one of them. But Colorado in Spanish definitely means reddish. Not red, but reddish. Like reddish is the word that best translates from Colorado.
Yeah, I learned that last time you were casting.
Yeah.
I'm just going off of before anyone's like, Colorado isn't South. It's not that. It's just that the Midwest of the United States has a lot of familiarities with the South. There's like a Midwestern cowboy theme that you can find on the outskirts of like Denver, Colorado. But if we're talking Denver, I mean, I don't know. There's a certain type of character I think of when I think of Denver, Colorado.
Alrighty. Well, what is that character? Denver.
A weed smoker.
Oh, really? Is it? Oh, because it's legal totally. There?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. My brothers actually live out there, and it's a green little pharmacy sign on a lot of the street corners, man.
Alrighty. Well, gotta love it. And the Reaper here is crossing the map. He's going through some green zones himself. And now he's gonna get to the other side of the map to find 2 Zerglings to attack. Or
can't be too greedy. I remember back at a Home Story Cup when Sue was like, there's like 2 out of 3 casters were Korean, or maybe all 3 of them were. It was a kind of like weird attempt. And Sue was like, you have to make 6-lings. And the Terran is like, no, you don't. And he was like, no, it's way too greedy. You have to make 6-lings.
Just in order to not lose any or minimize damage? I usually make 4, honestly, but...
He said it was greedy to not make 6, because obviously I always think of 4, and that's what we usually see. So that's why it always is in my brain, because I remember how odd I thought that was and how much I was on the other guy's side,
Yeah.
Anyways.
I mean, Sue can probably get away with it. He's one of, if not like the best mechanical surge in the world, I think. So maybe he can, not cut any corners and just beast it out anyway. But yeah, I cut every corner. If I can get away with 2 links, I'll make 2 links just.
Yeah, right. Of course, the epic times. Like, I don't play Zerg, despite the misconception everyone has of me. And my Zerg is actually absolutely my worst. But I will accidentally not make any links. And then still not lose a drone. Because, Masters 3 ain't that impressive. Roachborn is on the way, and that is looking like a nefarious one, Cats.
Nefarious is a wonderful word to describe this Roachborn, because there is 2 gases now being taken. This is super duper all-in, it looks like. It's going to be Roach, Ravager, Ling, Aggression, 35 drones. I don't think we're going to see any extra 8 Lings in production. Kind of oddly, you usually want the Roaches first, but I guess these are just for the first few Hellions, and to clear them, to push them out, and make sure that the Roaches are perhaps not seen. A Banshee. How do you feel with a Banshee against this type of attack if you're the Terran player here?
I'm pretty sure I'm feeling like I'm on cloud 9, dude. The only thing that can go wrong is him trying to be sneaky with the Banshee and send it to the very far right. You know what I mean? And then not see this coming at all. Otherwise, if it goes straight to the middle, if it's anywhere close at home, this is going to be fantastic for MarineLorD. Either he felt it maybe on Death Aura, or he just is coincidentally going for it. He should be really good against the Roaches.
Alrighty. There's additional Hellions that are going to allow MarineLorD to push back out into the side of the map of Denver, which should make for spotting these Roaches easier. But actually, just the Roaches are sneaking out, and Denver still has some Lings. This looks like a regular old Ling Rambai. So I'm pretty scared for MarineLorD that after clearing this, the Banshee, like you were saying, might just leave.
Well, you know what is so common right now, Cats, is actually to wait for your second Banshee, because you're going to have to wait for Cloak anyways, and you pair them up. So I think that's actually really playing into this Banshee being left at home. He also might be suspecting that Roaches could be on the way. Whatever it is, the Banshee is here. The Hellions are plentiful. Yeah. The Lings cannot do anything, and the Roaches probably won't find very much else to do.
Yeah, and you're on cloud 10 at this point, right? It's it's looking pretty darn good if you are MarineLorD to hold. The SCVs are pulled off the line, and there is a lot of Lings trying to crush through them, but I mean into a choke of Hellion Banshee. When you just have no or little economical backing behind it. 12 drones in production, however, for Denver behind us.
For as well as that could have gone for MarineLorD, 15 SCVs isn't a bad takeaway for Denver. I mean, I feel like if he had absolutely 100% known this was on the way, he actually pulls his SCVs to the top, so he loses no SCVs. Instead, having to use them was a little bit more awkward. But of course, Denver is also in an awkward position, committing a lot to that, not a whole lot of drones. Even with a big old drone round, he's still only 9 workers ahead, with MarineLorD probably feeling confident about taking his third on location fairly quickly.
Yeah, this wasn't completely all in by Denver. It was like kind of all in-y. Like it needed to do something, maybe a little bit more than it did, but it did something. So he's not completely out of it. And I am happy to see that he somehow managed to get a lair and is now dropped a Spire, which I did not see coming with an attack like this one planned.
You obviously don't play in Masters 2, Cats, because Roach Ling all in a Spire is about the most common thing to ever happen. Actually.
Yeah, I just meant the timing of it, right? Like the Spire's nearly completed. Like the lair was done when the attack failed, which is nuts to me.
Gotcha. Okay. Now I'm with you there then. I mean, maybe just predicting the necessity of these Lings, or well, maybe he's looking for more of a one-way opportunity. The Spire is definitely a little bit later. I'm thinking that even if it was a bit faster, like 30 seconds faster, for instance, MarineLorD would still probably be okay. The reason that I don't think that this is usually that great in the professional leagues is that, frankly, the Terran players are better, right? Like the Terran players can see this coming and actually respond to mutants without getting tilted. They know how to apply appropriate pressure. They know how to use their units. And I think MarineLorD is going to, I think he's going to be okay against it.
Yeah,
the mutants could be
awkward. See it be a surprise. Yeah, they could be awkward just because the timing was so weird. Like after holding an all-in, the last thing you expect is your opponent to have such good tech. So I like the attempt from Denver, but he's definitely in dire straits. And this is the best possible thing that MarineLorD could be doing right now, is to be pushing when the mutas aren't even out, because those are not fighting units.
Yeah, they absolutely are not. Like this is This is what I was wondering. Like, if MarineLorD is going to be at all hesitant, then maybe the Mutas can jump onto a CD line, buy some more time for some banelings. But at the end of the day, there's barely any creep spreads. Centrifugal hooks is only halfway done. This was supposed to be a slam dunk for MarineLorD, and here come the banelings going to try their best. Waddle, little fellas, waddle.
It'll be enough to clear this attack, it seems. The Mutas are still left alive. A lot of transfuse available as well. Decent focus firing on the side of MarineLorD, and he's not gonna be sad himself having killed 22 workers already.
Ooh, it's gonna be difficult for anyone to defend that attack after your own early aggression didn't work out so well. But if Denver had been able to buy just a few more seconds, been a little more on top of it, maybe he also just pulls the drones away so they're not slaughtered while everything was going down. So a lot of maybes.
That's the Muta reveal too. Like, the Muta barely hold, and I don't know if MarineLorD was expecting the Muta. The Marines still do damage and trade before the Muta can clear them out. But ultimately, I mean, the Muta revealed now. There's nothing they can do on the other side of the map, and that's kind of what we were relying on for Denver to kind of start forging himself a comeback.
Yeah. 6 more Mutas are on the way, which is going to give him a total of 11. That's the start of, sniping counts of Mutas, something like actually take down a medevac or take down a tank before the Terran player can respond. He needs more than a start. He's also going to need some distraction as well as good baneling connections. At least Centrifugal Hooks is going to be done for this fight. We'll see if magic can be made with Denver. He's got 8 banelings being formed. They are about ready to go.
Yeah, this is going to be super important, but MarineLorD is just going after the hatchery, gonna load out or load in and get out. The Mutas will chase. MarineLorD is looking. Oh, I'm surprised he didn't go for the high ground there completely. He started dropping a little bit earlier. Now onto the high ground though.
Really brutal of MarineLorD just to get that snipe on the 3rd hatchery, but it was there. So he at least takes that. He might lose a decent amount, as the medevacs are also going to be threatened. But there was a lot of drone kills in this game. The 3rd hatch entirely down, so Denver's back to only 3 base mining against a Terran who's also 3 base, going on 4, actually. 4th CC moving over to the right side. And upgrades are also about to become an issue. 2-2 to just 1-1.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you were mentioning, I think MarineLorD is never looking for a kill with these attacks. He's always getting this 4th base down. The transitions are looking good. He's getting the Widow Mine upgrade. He's getting his 2-2 set up. So it's never like he's thinking, okay, this attack should do it. It's more like he's throwing armies at his opponent, and they're working out exactly how he wants them to. I think this is a gutsy move, to say the least, from Denver. It could pay off.
That Widow Mine reached. Did take out. Oh my god. The banelings actually almost crashing into the Marines. Good last minute split though. Oh my god, that last minute split.
Yeah, that last second split almost, and it looked like Denver might actually hold there for a second and get some counter attack going for himself, but ultimately MarineLorD just too strong, keeping up the pressure. And I think you pointed out very accurately, always maintaining that creep spread so low that it made it impossible for Denver to just keep defending over and over.
Yeah, there weren't a lot of chances for a comeback there for Denver. Tried his best, but ultimately failed, and now he's down in the series. We're going to go into a game 4 right after this break.
Welcome back to the DreamHack Masters. We are here in the lower bracket for the European finals. I'm joined by the most wonderful Zombie Grub. Hello, Jess.
The most wonderful. I'm gonna rub this in Roddy's face afterwards.
Oh yeah, do it.
Thanks. This is gonna be a fun one because we're going into Golden Wall, which has given us pretty much some of the funnest games overall. But certainly when it comes to TVZ, I'd say TVZ is actually the most popular matchup on this map, right? It seems to be what I always see.
Yeah, I think it's one of the Terran's favorite maps to go against Zerg, especially if they have mech in their toolkit or at least the option to to mix it up. It's definitely one of the craziest maps. I personally love playing on this map just because it's so crazy, but against Terran, I gotta say, I can definitely struggle a little bit. That gold base is so easy to defend. On the bottom right-hand side of the map, it is Denver.
The bottom left is the red Terran. He is MarineLorD.
Oh, wow.
Cool.
Is that a new one?
I think so. They have so many, man.
Yeah, I don't think I've heard that one before though. Like some of them in my head, I know what the follow-up is, but this one I was like, oh, I don't think I've heard this one. Denver already very nice hiding his drone, or actually just looking for barracks. But I would love for him to actually end up hiding this drone for the third after scouting, since the Reaper is most often going to be out there trying to deny it eventually. But yeah, I mean, this is something that some Zerg players have or like doing. Denver clearly likes it. It paid off once. Well, sort of. Yes, yeah, it did pay off, right? He won that game. So.
Yeah, he won that game. That was the Ling bust. I just realized that these guys, this is actually a team kill. Coca Authentic. There we go. Authentic. Pepite. It's been a while since French class, guys. But yeah, the Coca team, they're both on it.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Coca, of course, a pretty awesome dude in our community. So shout out to him. And yeah, MarineLorD's going to be scouting with an SUV, making sure that there's no early pull or anything like that. Just going to check that this is hatch first, and even going to go in further to make sure that there's no further shenanigans. A lot of Terran players will just kind of skip this follow-up scout into the main.
That's taking a drone. You can still get over to the third base. Unless it's like one of the quickest third hatcheries. If you wanted to block, it does seem like it's fallen out of fashion. For a while, it was like a TV scout and then always block it.
Yeah, why do you think that is, Jess? I would have loved to see the block. I mean, I want to take that third for sure.
I don't know, actually. I was really a big fan of it when, like, I felt like Maru was really... It was like I Am Katowice, I think, actually, where he did it repeatedly, and it looks to actually be giving him some great advantages. But I guess it really does just take away too much of your economy, because you don't only have the SUV there, which is obviously denied mining time. You also, like, sometimes want a bunker. So I also like it. But at the end of the day, I just like that the Terran players are back to being okay with SUV scouting at all, which, you know, we definitely go through phases of being like, no, our SUVs, never scouting, and then die to some silly things.
I am waiting for the phase, Jess, where Terran players start dropping eBays in my natural. When is that going to happen?
You know, I feel like I saw like a semi-pro do that. I was like, what is this SUV doing so fast? 2 racks? Wait, what? No, that's a crazy thing to do. It's kind of crazy to do even in TVP, and that's where it was first designed for.
But why? I don't get it. Like, the pylon is good, the probe block is good. Is it that Terran players are just so much into their timings and so exact with those things that it just, you know, you feel like it hurts you too much?
Yeah, we can't be loosey-goosey with our drones and army like you guys.
That's what it feels like, yeah.
No, I really don't know. I would say yes. Not that I'm the best player, but like, especially when I play Protoss, I feel like they really like get tilted when I don't have enough for, you know, my pylon or my 7X core immediately. And it can definitely happen with a Terran. Like, you have 150 gas, but you don't quite, 100 gas, but you don't quite have enough minerals for a factory. I actually can see it. We're talking about the absolute tippy top of the pro level. Those things are actually decisions. When you're talking about your Joe Schmo gold, I mean, scout all you want.
Scout all you want. Scout extra. Make whatever units you want. Just make sure you spend your money.
And since we're talking so much about scouting, it's worthwhile saying that Denver went again for Overlord speed. This time, it's netting him a pretty important scout, not because weird things are happening, but just because it is a third CC that was really quick. It is going to be a Fusion 4 again. Very important intel.
Yes, indeed. I'm curious to see where this third CC is going to go. It looks like what is this follow-up with Starport? Ooh.
Yeah, battlecruisers, dude. It's Fusion Core battlecruiser.
This is pretty greedy, isn't it? Like, if you get attacked by roaches this game instead of last, you just kind of die, I think, right?
Oh, it's pretty greedy. Yep. But that's exactly what I think MarineLorD is banking on. Either that his scouting will be so good that you can respond, which you can. You can start a Banshee instead of a battlecruiser. Or that Denver wouldn't do it, which Denver has shown some aggression, sure. But I'm still not pinning Denver as a guy who would be down in a series on his last life to do an all-in.
Yeah, I think that's exactly probably what's going through MarineLorD's mind is I just shut down his all-in. I have a 2-game buffer. If I can get away with insane greed, I mean, chances are pretty low that he's going to try to do it again. Because I felt like last game it was a pretty decisive shutdown of that all-in. And great damage here from MarineLorD, killing 7 drones and a few circlings. The Hellions will get cleaned out, though, and the map control goes back to Denver, who already has pretty good creep spread. So not the best in the world, but not bad at all.
I think it's an okay trade there for a guy who has a third CC already floating over, apparently not fearing the counter, and who's going to be producing Hellions consistently anyways, since he is going into mech. So we took a temporary worker lead. It's quickly changing back into Denver's favor, and then the battlecruiser shows up. Can't get any more done. He's going to target fire down 1 or 2. 3 or 4.
Yeah, it's so easy to underestimate battle cruisers and how fast they can kill drones, but 6 drones just basically suicided because they were pulled in time. But then Denver thought, I'm just gonna, start mining again, because I'm not sure why. But the battlecruiser certainly showed him that he shouldn't have.
Yeah. That's a great start for MarineLorD, who gets his greed, and he punishes his opponent just for assisting a little bit. He's going to do it again. The Hellions run into the third base. The Lings are trying to respond, and I guess they'll be good enough, but even the Lings are going to get barbecued a little.
Yeah, amazing choke, and I gotta give props to Denver here for uprooting that score, recognizing that there was the choke, like as fast as he did that to give the Lings a little bit more surface area. Great move, but it's a little too late, and those Hellions still get way too much done.
Denver is so late to that Spire, it feels like his lair really wasn't that poorly timed. He once again had all the knowledge, kind of similar to the Eternal Empire game. This is more of a standard fare, and I guess it is kind of typical for battlecruiser openers to often get a lot of damage done with their Hellions because you're so focused on the battlecruiser. That count will continue to grow, at least to 3. Usually 3 with Yamato, but we'll pay more attention to that. Some Lings trying to do some counter damage, finding mostly Hellions. Not too much to be done here.
Indeed, and yeah, I was gonna ask about that, Jess. Like, I'm surprised that MarineLorD stopped producing battlecruisers, seeing as the tech for Denver was slow, seeing as the first BC did so good, and seeing as he's committing to Yamato further. Yeah, I find, if you're gonna Yamato battlecruisers, personally, I would probably go for like 4 or 5 or something. But I'm that guy. I think at least 3, right?
Nice. I'm collecting my data from all watching pros, forget my own games. And it's almost always 3 with mech and Yamato. 3 with Yamato, I guess, is the pairing. And then if you're bio, it's usually just the 1 as an opener.
All right. So would you say it's 3 rather than 3 minimum? Like it's almost the standard is 3 is what you're saying? Absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome. Gonna get that Yamato. So, I mean, sometimes you might be like, well, why bother if they're already gonna have a Spire? It's just because they're such good harassment units, right? They can float to the corner, so they're not scouted and still teleport out. They can teleport in and usually still have a bit of a field day because 3 battlecruisers take forever to kill. I mean, hey, there's a reason they got popular as openers.
Most definitely. They are pretty strong units. They're kind of difficult to get rid of, but once you get enough corruptors, it kind of starts swinging in the Zerg's favor where the battlecruisers are not doing enough. It's a very delicate balance, though, because it's so easy to overproduce corruptors as well.
Yeah, it's especially when they start flying over these cyclones, which is one of the reasons why you do follow up with cyclones. In MarineLorD's case, I mean, I think he wants to play this style of mech, but it can also be like you can either do this or you can go for a lot of missile turrets and build tanks, which was a phase for mech players for a while. But I think it's gone back to this. It has been a while since I've seen mech on Golden Wall. It's seemed to be one of the first things that Terran players are trying to do, and then I think the way the map can play out, because you can take top or bottom, meant that the Zerg players were still able to take too much of the map. And, you know, the Cyclone thing is kind of like playing Bio, where you want to keep up the aggression. But we'll see how Denver responds. He has taken the north side, similar to MarineLorD. He wants to stop the aggressive expanding, but so far Denver's not been able to. Now he's moving across the map. He's going to find a single battle cruiser to start things off.
Yeah, not too bad of a start, and he's gonna commit for this, but the Cyclones are now locked onto a lot of those Corruptors, so even though the battlecruiser goes down, so do most of the Corruptors, and now the Roach is pushing in maybe a little bit too far.
Corruptor's gonna go for a little bit of a bathroom break on top of MarineLorD's production. Gonna go for 2 buildings, but not with a lot of Corruptors, so this actually is about as awkward as Denver could have made it, to be honest. Maybe focusing a little bit more on the main engagement. He has killed a handful of SCVs, but he hasn't stalled out the expansion. It's like MarineLorD's gonna be on 5 command centers.
Yeah, a little bit greedy from Denver as well, splitting his Corruptor's damage over multiple buildings, and kind of, you talked about a bathroom break. He was peeing in front and in vision of a missile turret, and that's not too good either. So you really want to do a little bit better than that, you know, like to focus fire with all the Corruptors. It looks like Denver's really committed here, though, and to be honest, this is going a little bit better than I expected even.
A couple of Cyclones are rallied into Roaches, so it's getting a little bit awkward when those Cyclones run out of room to maneuver, but now that they've got another concave, they got a surround, I think we'll see the supplies eventually tilt into Denver, or sorry, into MarineLorD's favor, especially since his battlecruiser is not being taken down. All the Corruptors died, so at the very least, you can depend on this thing.
That is true. That battlecruiser is a saving grace, and now with the 3 Cyclones joining in, I was a little bit concerned that the Cyclones had been taken down. MarineLorD evacuating now his SCVs to minimize losses, and once he holds here, he's in a decent economical position. But hey, props to Denver. That was something.
It was something, but at the end of the day, only on 1/1 upgrades. Not that MarineLorD's that much better, but Cyclones have a spell when they actually use those lock-on. And then MarineLorD has 5 command centers. This one's about to finish up, so he'll be very quick to boosting the SCV count. And I think Denver's just hoping that the Cyclones run out of room, which he's gotten close to forcing the complete KO, the complete wipe of the Cyclones. If that ever happens, MarineLorD will be in trouble, but as long as he has a handful of those, he still has a battlecruiser as well. There's so much potential for the defense.
Yeah, and this might be my favorite sensor tower that I've seen. Like, if you're gonna make a single sensor tower on this map, I really love this. I don't think I've seen it before, exactly this one, but the area of coverage is amazing. Denver is pushing in one more time with a lot of Roach Ravagers, sacrificing a lot of them to pick off Cyclones that quite honestly shouldn't be so easily picked off. MarineLorD not paying enough attention. A lot of the Cyclones and Hellions will continue to fall as the SCVs are forced onto the planetary fortress.
A couple of Hellions are at least getting some return damage over in the top right, but now the planetary is going to be targeted. The mass repair, though, is going to be looking pretty good. The corrosive biles are going to get a few SCVs. Not as many as I thought they would. They're all types of clumped up, but they are very effectively taking the planetary to full health, and that is, okay, finally, there's the big jump up I was waiting for, 27 SCVs. MarineLorD possibly not microing his Cyclones enough, probably should have gotten into tanks a bit faster. Denver's relentless aggression is starting to work.
It really is. He's not stopping. Like you said, it's so difficult to micro Cyclones once they're pinned back, and MarineLorD hasn't been able to be out there on the map. Denver hasn't been really spreading creep in a while, so he's been really committing to this attack and controlling the Roaches. We know where his attention has been now. Finally, Jess, those tanks that you were talking about.
Yeah, but I'm surprised they didn't die. I was like, why is the Floaty Boost down? But they barely live. The planetary is always going to be difficult to take out with this type of army as well. The Queens are the only anti-areas available, and they're not going to be able to take on the battlecruiser. I mean, he never lost the Spire, right? He's never tried to add on the Corruptors necessary to take this out, but it seems like it's been the right decision. Having just so many Roaches has actually worked out to give him this momentum. Is it going to be game ending? No, but I mean, it's closer than I thought it was going to be.
It certainly is. I mean, I think it's looking really good for Denver at this point. At least the supply seems to show that. He has 64 workers to the 40 of MarineLorD, and once he gets rid of this base, it's going to become harder and harder for the French player in production. Now Denver transitioning finally to some drones, while still adding some base number of Roaches to make sure maybe he doesn't die to a counterattack.
Oh, yeah, you know, that planetary was holding on to its last thread. If there was like 6 more CVs there, it's probably still alive. The tanks could have sieged behind the Roaches. And maybe he still has 5 bases, but he has been cut down to 4. Now 4 orbitals, mind you. So he is still getting a good economy when he can mine. But Denver has also finally added on some drones. He's finally adding on his own 5th base. I mean, at the end of the day, the supplies have gotten very, very close. This has been a hard game to call.
Difficult towards the end, especially Denver losing those roaches, not really finishing off that tank. And yeah, I mean, like we said, he wasn't really spreading creep behind this either. So it's not like he has taken amazing map control. And now that MarineLorD has situated his 4th again and Denver has kind of slowed down on the aggression, I think he has some space to recover.
Well, geez, he did see the 5th base. Maybe he didn't tell that was an orbital considering it's damaged, right? So now he confirms that that might be a weak point for future run-bys. He does have some upgrades on his speedlings, so we're kind of at a reset point, though. Isn't that weird? Like, it's 4 bases for the mech player versus 5 for the Zerg. The Zerg has that economic lead, but I mean, it's not like he can actually win the game with the army supply he currently has. And I mean, this is crazy.
The tech's not there for the Zerg either, right? It's not like they can just do anything to end it anytime soon. I think, like you said, this is gonna kind of reset. And it's anyone's game at this point. I would give a slight advantage to MarineLorD on the back of having that 4th already situated. But yeah, Denver's certainly not out of it.
So many roaches were lost. That's kind of crazy to see the army graph like it was. And now MarineLorD is feeling confident again with the cyclone numbers that he has. He's going to clear up some of that creep. Denver finally got to pushing out. He goes much quicker into the infestors, which is pretty cool. Looks like he maybe slightly mistimed the pathogen glands, but that actually could be a big deal. MarineLorD's kind of sharking around here.
Yeah, he definitely mistimed the pathogen glands, but like you said, I really like that he's going for those infestors. Against this type of army, they can really punish, and MarineLorD has been really daring. Also, those infestors, like where they are right now, imagine them on the high ground to the left of his hatchery with fungal, right? They would have caught that entire army if they were just moved to that little ledge there. So, yeah, I really like that he's going for it as well as burrow. Let's see what he's able to accomplish with the burrow. I would love to see infestors be sneaky.
He's also got tunneling claws, so he's definitely thinking about harassment, certainly about the infestors, keeping them a little bit safer, making them a bit more of a surprise.
That's pretty cool. I don't think I've ever seen roach infestor both move burrowed, together. It's not a thing that I ever see, but it could be pretty cute if that's what he's planning for. No, there's so many Ravagers for that, for sure.
Maybe the leftover roaches will tunneling claws, or maybe they'll just go for a fight if they see one.
Yeah, I would also not mind a spotting roach burrowed in the front, just tanking up shots and seeing where stuff is.
Ooh,
Here we go.
Yeah, I don't know if he really thought about the tanks in the high ground. It wasn't just 1 or 2. A 3rd one was also joining in. So Denver cannot tackle that.
Yeah. And it's MarineLorD kind of taking the position that I was hoping Denver would take with his infestors. Instead, taking that position with the tanks. Very nice job. Triple pronged harass on the back of it. GG. Denver will